Ooh, took me a second there. Let me bring. First, thank you for being here. It's been a long day. I see we have Judy here. Of course, Mary's here. Oh, and Steve Neal. Oh no, that's the. Well, we're going to bring you in right now, sweetheart. Uh, and I'm going to bring Judy in now. Hi, Judy. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, I see that Anne has not followed the link, or she was sent a link, correct? Okay.
Here I am.
Yes, there you are. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you for showing up.
Thank you for doing this. It's so great to meet you.
Mary, I'm not sure your audio's on. I'm hearing you because you're in the other room, but that's what it sounds like. You have like three options: the Mac, the camera, the special camera that you have, or nope. I mean, I don't think so. Is anyone else hearing Mary?
No.
No, I didn't think you were, Judy. And if you can hear us, you need to check your email. We sent you a link yesterday to get in here. Let's see. Go to put. Okay. No. Mm-mm. You've been in here before and you had no problem, so something's changed. Well, anyway, we'll start with you, Judy.
Hi.
Welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Have I seen you before
Um,
on any other shows? You look very familiar.
I did one thing on Whitley's
Yes,
podcast. Yeah,
yes.
with
And I was,
Ethan.
yeah, yeah. And I was quite taken by it too. Evidently, he's not going to be hosting for Whitley. Um,
No?
I'm not sure. You talking about Jeremy?
Oh, Jeremy, not Ethan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Jeremy
Jeremy's
Haney.
not going to be doing it. There's another lady that's going to be doing that once a month, and Mary popped out so she gets her problems fixed. But I did watch you on the show, and boy, did I hear a lot of the same things I'm also familiar with.
I know. I know. That's why I really enjoy this. I've just started the last maybe 2 years reaching out to other experiencers. I'm in Binghamton, New York. I um I go up to Rochester every once in a while to a group up there, a private group. Um,
It's a
and-
support group,
yeah, it's a support group.
essentially.
Yeah,
We have one here.
yeah. Richard Dolan lives in the area, so
Oh,
sometimes he's
okay.
a
Yeah,
speaker. Yeah, he's a great
sure.
guy. Yeah,
We
we've
all
been to
know who
dinner.
he is,
Yeah, he's a good guy.
and it's very helpful.
It is. Um it's comforting, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, it is. I mean, I started working with Yvonne Smith in 1989, and 1990 I started doing regression with her. I remembered a lot of things consciously, but it was interesting to go into more detail if it was there, and it was. And then I started going to the support group, and as you well know, you just feel so darn odd. You go in there, and there's all these people sitting there, and they all kind of look at each other, and it's like something right out of a film. And
Yeah.
and someone opens their mouth and says something that's identical to something you're feeling, you experienced, any of those things. And it's like, oh, good, 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 good. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not crazy after all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a relief. You know,
It is,
my husband doesn't understand it or even believe it for himself. He believes that I've had this experience. He's been there the whole time, 30 years,
right?
plus, and, but it's just very lonely. I've felt very isolated until I started reaching out, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. This is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for being brave and coming forward and talking about this. This is not something that everybody wants to do. We're finding this out. I mean, I've known about it for years. I mean, I've known Whitley since 1990, and of course, his book, The Communion Letters, is amazing. If you haven't read it, it's just all
Yeah.
these that wrote to him and Anne after they read Communion, and they wanted to get it off their chest. They wanted to share and say, geez, I didn't think there was anyone else. I thought it was just me and I was crazy. And then I read your book. Well, you know the story.
Yeah.
And preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
And we get the same thing now. Today, we're getting emails and comments where people don't want to be known publicly, but they will talk about it so that they
Yeah.
feel better. and it's amazing. It's just it hasn't changed since back in the '80s. It really hasn't.
Yeah, it's a long time. It seems like yesterday to me, but it's a long time back to the '80s.
Yeah.
And, I have a background in writing, and, I went to journalism school and got a master's in creative writing, and, I've been trying to write a memoir connecting early childhood trauma, which I had, and this experience, and also the generational aspect. My father, had experiences and, watched Ancient Aliens, which was surprising to me when I discovered that, and we started talking. Is Mary back?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes!
Yay.
Yay!
Yeah, Ancient Aliens with the guy with the hair, right? I
Yes!
can never remember his name, and
I can't pronounce it. I think he's Greek.
yeah, no,
I'm terrible with names. Yeah.
he's amazing. Everybody uses him, who doesn't believe us and think this is all a joke, as sort of the poster boy for making fun of this whole thing. It had to be
Yeah.
aliens. But the amazing thing about him is he has a good sense of humor, and he's okay with that. He really,
Yeah.
in fact, I don't know if you're watching the Emblem Entertainment, but really it's Spielberg.
Yes, Amblin is
Resident
good.
is Resident Alien.
I love Resident
Yeah,
Alien.
how good. So,
Totally.
and did you see that they actually had him on his
Yes, I did. I thought
wasn't
that
that
was
great?
great. Very cool. I
It was
like
just great.
breaking the fourth wall is great. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really, I got a whole new respect for the guy because a friend of mine, Jason Martell, some of you may have heard of Jason, and he are friends, and they've done Ancient Aliens together, and we're going to have Jason Martell on our show.
Great.
If not this Friday, the following Friday. He was the guy who did my first website back in like 1990, and he was just this little kid. Basically, he's like 16 or 18 years old, and
Nice.
yeah, so those two guys are friends. So the guy with the hair, and I got to remember his name. I hate
Oh, I know. It starts with a
referring
T.
to him that way, but everybody does. You mean the
The
guy
guy
with
with
the
the
hair?
hair. We know who he is.
Yeah, I know.
He seems like a really affable guy. Really, really.
Yeah, well, you got to have a good sense of humor. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
he's he's a charmer. So this you've been experiencing this stuff how far back that you can
Well,
remember?
that's very interesting because I think there was probably stuff in childhood. I have memories of, swimming underwater and breathing, of flying through the air and, dreams like that, combined with the sleep paralysis thing, and
Right.
that I used to look forward to having the dreams. I didn't like the sleep paralysis thing, but I
No,
used to look forward to when those dreams happened. It was amazing, and I remember thinking as a child, "I should be able to do this. Why can't I do this?" And, also as a child, I was like, "I wanna go home." I was saying that to everybody, like Dorothy, "I wanna go home. I wanna go home all the time," and, I was home to my family, but I didn't feel like I was home.
no.
And
Did
I remember the first time I saw the Pleiades through a telescope at our observatory locally here, and I felt such a feeling of homesickness of, "Oh my
Oh,
god, I wanna be there." And it was the weirdest thing, and it was before I had connected, like, visitor thing with, this was happening to me
sure,
because there's a
sure.
strange disconnect that happens, like, you know it, but you don't know it. You know it when it's happening, and you know it kinda when you're waking up, but then, like, in your daily life, I'm taking care of twins and, I'm, like, doing all this stuff, and it's not part of my, like, everyday reality until just recently. I mean, my twins are 24 now, so
wow.
it's a long time that it took me to, like, come to this realization, and then I saw Lori, McDonald, um, she's out in California, but we Skyped,
Right.
and we did some work, and I retrieved some memories around a couple, incidences that I had, but, it's really strange. I don't know whether to believe it. It's almost like I feel like I'm making it up. So
Yeah, that's
I
how it
separate.
feels.
Yeah, it does, and she told me that it would feel that way, but I separate out those, memories from the memories that I have from being awake and having things happen. I mean, I'm awake, I'm conscious, and things would happen. So those memories I separate out whenever I talk to somebody.
Are you aware of how many people including myself, have been saying the same thing recently since I started speaking about it, about the fact that you don't feel like this is right, that this isn't my home, that you want to go back, that, I remember that first day in school for me looking around the
Yeah.
room and saying, this is a mistake. And I
Yeah.
knew I had to be quiet about it because if I spoke about it, they might put me away or something. In fact, someone wrote today that, in the comments that they had the very same thing happen because last night on the premiere episode, last night's the one about me, I talked about that and I talked
Yeah, I
about
was there.
remembering. Okay,
Yeah.
then and
Yeah.
and I mean when you were saying that, I haven't met you before and I haven't talked to you much at all, and I did watch you on Whitley's show with Jeremy. I don't know if you brought that up or not, but it just gave me the chills because one by one, people are saying this very same thing to us,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
lately. That they don't. And the minute I said that, then they all started saying, I felt that way too. And I just didn't know what to do with it because it just seems so crazy.
Yeah, I noticed that last night. Everyone
Yeah.
was saying that. I didn't
Yeah.
know that was a thing. You just feel so
No,
isolated, you know?
there's, you've read Communion, you've read the other books and stuff, but you didn't see that in there. And so you think, well, we've pretty much covered all the territory with this. And then you find out there's more.
Yeah.
And I think I'm really curious to see how many people start to come forward and talk about the human abductions where we were taken because the people on the inside wanted to know what was going on between us and these beings, this
Yeah,
consciousness, whatever it is. So
that scares me more than the visitors, to be
and it
honest with
should
you.
because our
Yeah.
people are savages, basically. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
you
we can
know,
see that. We can see that in the world, right?
oh, well, sure. They just look what
Yeah.
happened to the indigenous people, just for starters. So,
Yeah,
just
Too
just
to
much
start.
Neanderthal blood.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's been going on a long time.
Hmm.
Um, Ann Carter is a supporter, right, on Patreon. She was sent a link, right?
Yeah, she was. And I put it in the stream too, the link.
Maybe she didn't want to come on and be.
Maybe not.
They're all talking to her. So, but going back to Judy, so you're relatively fresh on the scene. I mean, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was just last September that the interview dropped.
Right.
So, yeah.
Um, Now you're lucky that your husband, he may not um, really understand it, but he's not kicking you out of the house, And I mean,
No.
my
No,
late wife Jillian threatened to leave me if
I
I didn't get
know.
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
so you're fortunate there. You got a good guy and
he is. He
keeping an
really
open
is.
mind.
Yeah, he really
But what
is.
about the rest of your family, your kids and people around you, people at work? I mean, do they
Yeah.
know that you're talking about this stuff?
Not many, not many.
Yeah.
I have 3 children,
Hmm.
um, and all 3 of them have had experiences.
Huh.
2 of the 3 reject it. It frightens them. My oldest son, though, is a shaman, and he's a
Oh,
psychologist.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah, he's a
amazing.
quite a
healer.
combination.
It
Yeah.
does run in the family
Yeah, it does. It does, through my
on
dad's
both
side.
sides.
Yeah. Yeah, so, but with friends or people I don't work anymore. Um, but, I have a lot of writing friends. I guess that's kind of my work now. Um, and I've been very shy about sharing it, like, in my, town, in my friend group because it's scary. Um, I sent the interview with Jeremy to, a couple friends,
Mhm.
and one of them, my husband said, "Why did you send it to her? She's gonna tell everybody." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh," and I got really panicked, and then I just
Oh,
said, "Oh, well, it's fine. If anybody wants to, confront me about this, I'll just tell them. I'll just tell them this is my experience. You can't deny it. If you don't believe it, that's okay, but this is my experience. This is my truth." So it's really scary. I'm like, I'm not the kid that jumps off the deep end. I'm the one that, tiptoes in the shallow end. So I'm kind of coming out. I was writing a memoir and I just had to stop because it was too painful. And now I'm writing fiction and it's so much more fun and
Yeah,
make things up, and I'm going to infuse my fiction with all of my experiences, so
wow,
I
that's
think
great.
that's gonna be good, yeah.
I've been doing much the same. I mean, my first film, but something is there. And by the way, John Condor, thank you very, very much. It's very much
Thank you.
appreciated.
Oh, nice.
Um, I don't know if you saw my film, but
I did,
something is there. You did
I
see it.
did, it's
Okay.
really good, I really liked it.
Well,
I
I'm
liked
glad
the one with the Hitler too, that blew my mind. That just blew
it
my
was
mind.
Yeah.
different. But that film, I wanted to get it off my chest. But
Yeah,
what happened back in the 90s is different than what's going on with you right now. Back then, I was on television all the time with Yvonne, with Whitley, with Roger Lear, with all three of them, with Daryl Sims,
yeah,
and it was on Fox, and I was sightings and national television and Vicki Lawrence show, all this stuff. So people saw it, and
yeah.
so
Lots of people
friends of
saw
our
it.
family and Jilly's family saw it and said, "Your husband's nuts. He needs help," and you know about all that.
Yeah,
But now today, they have to look for it.
yeah,
National television really isn't covering this stuff the way it used to. It's not fun anymore for them because we've got wised up to them. We know what they're going to do. They're going to make fun of us, and they're going to have a
yeah,
skeptic on there, Joe Nichols or James Oberg, or actually he doesn't bother me that much. But there's the guy from the Skeptical Inquirer. We call I call him. Well, I'm not going to call him that name, but I can't remember his name. But those guys are usually on, and it's just not fair to people who've had
yeah,
these experiences because, with all due respect to the skeptics, that they weren't there. They
that's
have no evidence to the contrary that you didn't have these experiences, and
yeah,
yet they're featured. They're featured so well. So now we have the internet, and we have this, and we have what we're
Mhm.
doing right now, and
yeah,
now you can just tell it like it is, but know that you're safe because your family friends or your friends you don't talk to this about, they're 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 not going to find this if they
yeah.
don't know where to look for it.
That's a good
Ah,
point.
you
Yeah.
know,
No, that's a good point, and anybody that's not interested in it, yeah, they're not gonna go looking for this.
I see Anne
So
finally checked in. She said, "No worries. I did receive a link, but it's not here right now. I will answer in chat." And she's talking about Chuck, who's in the hospital now. He's very ill, and he's
Oh
talking
dear.
about
mm,
his experiences. It makes it hard for us to do what it was just in chat, but keep an eye on it because Anne's great and she's a supporter and she's been around uh, this phenomenon for a very, very long time. In fact, she, at one point, and correct me if I'm wrong, Anne, you were working with dear Anne Strieber in Whitley, as I recall you telling me so. Uh, and we all miss Anne very much.
Yes.
So
yeah,
Judy, you're gonna do fiction rather than do something really about what happened to you.
yeah,
It is fun, and
yeah,
of course, but something is there went from that to the Hitler film, The Dreamtime, because I had this experience where I came to and I'm sitting right next to him,
that's
and there were
amazing.
visitors there. Yeah. So I decided to make a film out of it, and it's not exactly the same as what happened to me, but I, like you were saying, it's more fun to fictionalize it a bit. When I
Yeah,
went to a conversation with my father, I've had experiences, and this is something we'll ask you about in a second. I've had experiences that runs in the family that we will be asleep at night and someone dies, someone
mm,
close to they may
yeah,
not even be sick. They may have been just fine. They might have been in a car accident. They might have got a brain aneurysm, which what happened to my girlfriend Judy.
mm,
And you have no knowledge of anything like that going on. You're asleep, and they come to you in your sleep.
yep,
They pull you out of your body or something like that, and they tell you how much they love you and that they have to go and that they're fine. Don't worry about them. And when Judy even said to me, "Sure," and you were right about those aliens. I used to joke with you about, but they're real too. But I have to go. And then you
Wow.
wake up and you say, what the heck was that? And then later on you find out they passed away exactly at
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah.
It happened to my mother, and it
Yeah.
happened to me more than once. And so a conversation with my father was basically based on that. And other stories I've heard where people have been able to go into a special place and talk to someone they love very much.
Yeah.
So what about you? Have you had that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Isn't
I've
that
had
something? I mean, it's
yeah, my dad too, and I didn't even know that until the last few years of his life that he would know things about people. He said he couldn't control it. It just came to him, and he demonstrated that once when I took him to the hospital because he had fallen in the night and gashed his head. He needed stitches, and the nurse comes in. She comes in, she's really delightful and everything, and then she walks out to get something, and he turns to me, says, "She's got 3 little girls, and she's with a man that's not treating her well,
Oh,
and, he's not the father of her children, but they're together, and she shouldn't be." And when she came back in, she just spontaneously started talking about it, and I would just looked at him like, "How did you know?" And when he was staying at our house in the last couple years of his life, he was sick with cancer, he had lung cancer, I took care of him, and, he would tell me, "There's a woman in your spare bedroom that she puts a hand on my knee or my shoulder as I'm falling asleep, but don't worry, she's good, she's good." So, that kinda thing happened with him, and I had no idea. And, I woke up, 2:30 in the morning, one night, and my step-grandfather was sitting in a chair that wasn't there next to my bed, and
oh,
it
wow.
scared me because he had abused me as a child.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, so it was a frightening experience, and I just saw him, and I sat up, and I turned to wake up my husband and turned back, and he was gone. And my stepmother called me the next morning to tell me that he had passed, and I quickly said, "What time was it?" And she said 2:30. The nurses said that he had passed somewhere between 2 and 2:30 in the morning, and I was like, "Wow." I also had a shared death experience with, an acquaintance of mine. She was the mother of a child that was in daycare with my twins when they were little, and, she had gotten melanoma. She was only
Oh,
36 years old, beautiful young
oh,
woman. She was a nurse. It was really, really sad, and I was just getting to know her. And anyway, she went into the hospital to have 3, tumors removed from the base of her skull. And, they had the skull, in her abdomen. I'm from the medical field, so these things are, like, common to me. But
Hmm.
they had put the skull in her abdomen to keep it, safe until the spinal fluid stopped overproducing and they could put her skull back on. And
wow.
it became so bad that within the week, she was put on life support, and, it was a Thursday night. Her family gathered with their minister in her hospital room, and I had a dream that I was with Patty, and we were sitting at the head of her hospital bed, like, we were, like, a foot and a half above the bed, and we were looking toward the foot of the bed where there were people gathered, and I saw this tall, thin man in a dark black suit. I saw her husband, I saw her oldest daughter, and I saw other people that I didn't know because I wasn't that close with her. And I was just hearing this murmuring, sort of murmuring, and I could hear that some were crying, and then they were telling stories, and they were laughing and just sort of just talking about her and sharing their experiences of her. And the room was filled with this golden light that was almost like an angel cake sort of density that I could almost feel. And it was really warm, and it was just this golden light, and there was this feeling of, love in the room,
'Cause it
just
was.
unconditional love. It was God essence, whatever you wanna call it. It was love. It was pure love, and I was in this room with her, and I was thinking to her, "You can't leave. Bobby's only, 3 years old. You can't leave." And she had 4 children, and she just kept saying to me, "It's all love. It's all love. It's all love."
Mhm.
And, the dream ended, and I told my one girlfriend the next day, and, we went to the funeral, and I thought it was just a dream until the minister came up to the podium. I recognized him immediately, and he started telling the story of being gathered in her room when they turned off her life support. She died the morning after. I found that she had died the morning after that dream. And so that's when I realized that it wasn't just a dream, it was a shared death experience, which I'd never heard of before.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a remarkable moment to experience something like that. Just amazing.
It's interesting that when people pass on, um, that they enter your dreams like that, and they do. They
Yeah.
really do. I mean, when
Yeah.
Judy passed away, she had a brain aneurysm and she fell off the couch. They found her on the floor, just in her underpants, and that was it. And she was naked other than that. And she was 24 years old.
Oh my.
Yeah, and she wasn't staying with me that night at my house in Burbank. So she was at a friend's house on the couch. And I had been out late, and I got home, and there was a message from her, and I went. I said, but I had to go to bed, and I said, I'll talk to her in the morning. There was a screening of a film the next day that I worked on that I had to be there for. And I remember waking up. I mean, the dream was at around 6-ish or so, and I was in this mist of clouds and colored light running through it, and this music in the background I could hear. And she came out of the clouds, and I remember it was odd the way she appeared, because all she had was a pair of underwear on, and no, she was naked other than that, and floating towards me, and told me all these things and spent a moment with me. And then she had to go. They always have to go. And she went, and I woke up. I said, what the heck was that? That was really, really weird. And, communion and all those things had not been out yet. I had never connected the dots.
Except for Anne. Remember what Anne did?
Well, yeah, but what happened was when I got home later and I found all these messages, and then of course when I talked to the police, because the police were involved, and they told me how she was found, naked except for a pair of panties on, and I just was like, wow, just.
Yeah, how would you wouldn't know that. Yeah.
No, I know. And what Mary's trying to talk about is Anne.
Yeah, when Anne was
Strieber?
after Anne Strieber passed, I was chanting for her, to go, see the light.
Yeah.
And I'm in the backyard and I'm chanting, and she came to me and said, "Stop it. I'm not done here yet." And she
Wow.
wasn't at that time. And so they don't always have to go. Sometimes they have some unfinished business with us before they
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah.
Also, we were sitting in the back around our fire pit, and Whitley had been talking about the white butterfly, and many people had seen it himself. It even appeared on his security camera. He was at a conference, and one flew in the room out of nowhere and was landing on people. And Mary and I were in the back at night, and sitting around the fire pit, and a white butterfly flew in, and it went into the flames. And
Oh.
my thought was, well, that's the end of that, because they're so fragile that it
But
then
you
it flew back
couldn't
out.
find it. You couldn't find it. It disappeared into the flames.
No, it flew back out.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it did. It flew right back out,
Wow.
and I was in shock.
Wow.
So
Because it wasn't in there dead. I know that.
well, no, well, yeah, they go up pretty fast. So yeah, it was.
That's amazing.
Anne stayed around, and
For a while.
I mean, it was only a matter of moments after she had passed, and I'm in the car with Mary, and we're crossing the bridge to come to where we live at our condo, and I got a phone call, and he told me that she had just passed, and it was a very strange, odd time. Mary had the chance to meet her, but Anne wasn't quite the Anne that
Yeah, it
we
was
knew.
toward the end.
Yeah, and but I spent a lot of time with Anne Whitley, and Anne was amazing. So I often had asked Whitley, what the heck did she ever see in you?
You probably asked the same question.
But she loved him terribly, and
Yeah.
they were just amazing together. So
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell that when he speaks of her, just the love
oh
that they
yeah,
have. You
yeah.
can feel it.
He told me he would never go out and date again or anything. Never. He still wears his wedding band, and
Yeah.
they've been joined together ever since the first day they met. So it's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
That
really
is.
an amazing thing. So In fact, I did the book cover for the Afterlife Revolution, and the
Mhm.
bum never gave me credit for it.
Oh, jeez. I love your artwork, by the way. You're an amazing artist.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I
You know,
bought
I
your
just
poster. I bought
oh,
one of
you're
the
the one
posters.
about the poster.
I did.
Ah.
I can't wait to get it. I think I got an 11 by 14.
Oh,
Okay, my
It's gonna
God.
sit in my
I
office.
hope they did a good job on it. Let me know how they
I
did on
will.
that because,
yeah, because
you
we just
know,
put that up a couple days ago.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
we don't know
snapped
what
it
their
right up.
products actually look like when they do it. So if it's let me know if it's not up to par.
Yeah, I will. When you were talking about, your friend coming out of the clouds, that just reminded me of something that happened to me back in '03. My first mother-in-law, my oldest son's, grandmother, when she passed away in '03, a few weeks after she died, not sure how long exactly, I had a dream that I was in an elevator, and the doors open, and I step out, and I'm on this white marble, palatial patio overlooking a sparkling ocean, with a pink sky, and she approaches me from the patio out of nothing, out of thin air, and she speaks to me, and I don't remember exactly what she said to me, but it was all love, um, and about Joshua, my oldest son, and, it was another dream that is a memory more than that feels more like not a dream, but a real lived memory.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It really feels that way. I mean, people are on the outside looking in, and they will say, "Well, it was just a really strong dream, Steve, or just a real powerful dream." But it's like, but then the bottom line is with dreams is that they're not always the same thing, and very little science has been done on dreams outside of idle dreams that allegedly the brain has to come to terms with things.
Yeah.
These dreams are much different from that, and I don't think they realize that. I mean, especially the lucid ones where you can, if they are lucid, because I mean, I feel like I'm in another place, and I can
Yeah,
touch things, feel things. I can
yeah,
feel cold. I can. It's real. It's
yeah,
not a
it is
dream at
real.
all. Yeah.
Yeah, you become aware that you're dreaming, but you're somewhere else. It's like your inner world, it's like you go to another dimension or something in these dreams. And, I have dreams of being with groups of people, and we're on a mission, and we're, like, saving someone or doing something
Oh,
together, and yeah, I have these dreams all the time, and recently had an interesting twist on that kind of dream, and it was right before I went to one of those meetings in Rochester with the support group,
Mhm.
and, I was sitting at a round table, maybe just a long table, a big table with probably 10 or 15 other people that are in my group, and we were talking about what the plan was that we were going to be doing, and there was this one woman that was sitting in a chair, and she wasn't talking, she wasn't participating, and she was just staring at me. And I kept looking at her, and so I remembered her face. And would you know, I went to a meeting in Rochester, and it was the meeting where Whitley was going to be, the speaker that night, via
Oh,
Skype.
yeah, I
Yeah, it was
remember
that
something
night.
about that. Yeah.
And I spoke with him, and, it was a great meeting. But at that meeting, I turned around to speak to someone who had just sat behind me, a friend of mine or acquaintance, and I looked across the aisle a few lines behind me, and there's this woman that I recognize from my dream, and she's just looking at me the same way she was in my dream. And, I didn't in that moment remember I just knew she was familiar and I couldn't place her. I didn't remember she was from a dream. I remembered it later, and I wish I had remembered it in the moment because I would have, spoken to her after the meeting, but I didn't. And then after the meeting, I didn't see her again. But that was really strange. And a friend of mine from the group suggested that perhaps she was like a military person who was entering my dream.
Penetrating because we know they've been doing
whoa.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah, they have been.
remote viewing stuff, and that really
Right.
freaked me out. So
Yeah.
if I have a dream like that again, I'm going to speak to this woman. If I ever see her again, I'm gonna speak to her and say, "Hey, who are you?"
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And plus, I think they want to know if you realize what they're doing.
You were talking about that.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, you have, like, this sense that you really shouldn't speak about something to someone, and you should follow that intuition, I think.
Maybe. I mean, I've been told, that I was never supposed to talk about this stuff. I've been told I have a security clearance and I've violated it.
Yeah,
I don't know where any of that came from. I really don't. So, but
that's
I mean, I
strange.
got it in emails that were allegedly from the CIA and the NSA, and this was back in 94, 95, right around in there.
That's so strange.
Yeah, well, this is a pretty important thing that's happening to human beings and on the planet Earth, and there are people that we don't know really what's at the core of it. I got a good gut feeling though, and I go by my gut, but I don't think these guys on the outside that take this stuff very seriously and have the money and power to investigate it have that same kind of gut.
No,
They,
I
they they're paranoid. They only see the worst, the possible worst in this whole thing. They see the
don't.
fact that whoever this consciousness is and beings are, they have more power than people on
Yeah,
Earth do, and they want to exploit their technology and learn anything they can about them, and that includes investigating their interest in us.
yeah. Yeah, I believe those people, they don't have the same they don't have the same sensibilities that we have. They don't access it directly, and they're people who work on fear and power.
No kidding.
That's
Yeah,
all they know.
that's all they know. That's how
It's
they
all
function.
about it's all about values, and some people have totally different values than we do.
Yeah. I mean,
Different realities.
yeah, different realities, and we're really seeing a
Mhm.
split in realities right now. It's like, you're entitled. My husband said a couple of years ago, I remember him saying, "You're entitled to your own opinion, but you're not entitled to your own facts."
That's
And
true.
that was several years ago.
Yes,
And
it's still true today.
I'm watching it get worse and worse,
Yep.
the schism, you know, but
Yeah, a lot of people, not that many, not anymore, but a lot of people we've seen comments where they're very annoyed that we feel that this presence is not a threat and that they're not enemies and that they're not exploiting us and they're not doing bad things. They
Well,
don't
they
like
drank the
that.
Kool-Aid.
yeah. They think
Well,
we're naive.
I mean, the thing is, if they really they wanted to do us in, they would have done it a long time ago.
Definitely.
Our own people are doing far worse to us.
Yeah. I'm more
And
afraid of
Absolutely.
humans.
yeah,
Me too.
I mean,
Me
just
too.
the way they tell us that it's okay to eat certain things, and the way they it just so much is based on that product's okay, and listen to us. We know what we're talking about. I'm not going to name products, but it's okay because we want your money. You
Yeah.
know, and that a lot of that's food. A lot of the food they feed us is really bad, and we shouldn't be eating it, and it's just killing us. And they don't care, and they're
Yeah.
making money off all the illness from it,
I
from big
built a
pharma.
greenhouse and I grow my own vegetables now.
That's
Yeah, we're
wonderful.
vegan. We don't eat
Yeah.
any meat or
I'm
dairy at all.
almost vegan. I eat fish and eggs.
Yeah, we stopped.
We had vegan fish today. We had a vegan sushi bowl over at
It was great.
Seed Ranger, and everything there is vegan, and their
Wow.
sushi is incredible, and you would not believe that it's not really fish.
Wow. Wow, I would love to try that. I love California, by the way. I'm trying to get my husband, he's retiring at the end of the year, and, I'm trying to get him to go southwest for the winters.
Yeah,
I love San Diego. My mother-in-law used to live in Carlsbad. I love it out there. I really vibe out there with the people, um, and Sedona and Santa Fe, and I love the Southwest in California.
yeah, we love it out here. Um,
Having
I
some tough times
Yep.
right now, though. I'm sorry about the flood and everything.
well,
That was hard.
again, that was that was people not paying attention to what's going on. I mean, things are different with our weather, vastly
Yeah.
different. And when they say there's going to be 6 billion gallons of water falling in 1 hour, the city and the county should have listened, and they should have made sure those drains were cleared out from the wash that we have that runs down the boulevard. They didn't do that. It overflooded, it overfilled, it flooded, and it got our place when it had no business flooding where we live. And they know it, and yet they're not wanting to take
I just got a
responsibility.
letter rejecting our claim from the city.
Holy cow.
So they said
They're
we have
saying we're
6
not responsible.
Yeah, they said you have 6 months to appeal with an attorney. So
We're
we
going
gotta
to be
get
doing
busy.
exactly that, because
It's for
our
sure.
insurance company wouldn't honor it either. Mary had taken out disaster insurance, but they never offered flood insurance. In the state of California, they have to offer it. And when they offer it, you have to refuse it if you're not going to pay for it. And therefore, there should be a signed document saying you did. None of
Yeah.
that took place, and yet they're still saying you're not covered. So again, that's another lawyer issue, and it's just
Yeah.
people just
Let's just put it this way: we were not in good hands.
no, we
Sly.
certainly then they weren't a good neighbor either.
You
So
know, this is the world we live in, and I've dealt with that as well. We had a flood in 2011 in my area, and we were told the same thing. Well, if a tree branch had broken the window, it would be covered, but I'm sorry, the water's coming up from the ground because the ground is saturated, is not covered. I'm like, but this is an
Yep.
act of God. This is from rain. We're on a hill above the river, quite a ways.
right.
You
Well,
know,
many of my neighbors didn't have insurance,
wow.
and
We have to have it in New York
I paid
City.
all those years. I paid for it,
Yeah.
and I'm in the same boat as my neighbors.
Yeah, how is that fair, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
really.
they're happy to take their premiums, they're
Yeah,
They
happy,
they
sure
are.
are.
but, same thing with the healthcare system. Don't get me started on the healthcare system.
Oh, no, 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 I won't, 'cause I know. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, we've experienced
Yeah.
that firsthand, all of us.
So Judy, getting back to the topic, tell us what's been happening lately with you. I'd be
Well,
curious.
yeah, lately with me, the last couple of years, it seems like mostly what I'm experiencing is in dreams, like with the group of people,
Mhm.
um, and I'm getting healings. I fell on the ice
Good.
2 years ago, and I damaged the labrum in my shoulder. And I went through 8 months of, physical therapy. I opted not to do surgery. It's cartilage, so there's not any vascular system really feeding it, so it's very slow to heal, if at all. And I knew all that, but, once they cut into you, I've seen too many
Yeah.
surgeries. So, anyway, what I do is when I talk with them, I just say I'm asking for a healing. And sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll feel the buzzing and I'll hear the humming. And I sort of look over my shoulder like this and I see what in my mind are these small tall honeybees, probably about 3 feet. They're standing behind my shoulder by my bed, honeybees, like 3 or 4 of them by my bed. And they're working on me. And so that kind of thing. I had a ganglion on my wrist,
Mm.
and I showed my doctor, and, he said, "Well, you can get it operated on," and I'm like, I don't wanna do that," and, years ago, we were told, "Oh, you drop a big, heavy dictionary on it, it'll just,"
Yeah. Yeah.
remember that? Well, don't
Yeah.
do that, don't do that, that can
No.
cause damage, so don't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
But it was getting bigger, and it was really starting to hurt, and it was starting to impinge on the nerves, and, it was just really starting to bother me, and so I asked for healing, and the next thing I know, I woke up in the morning and I had this straight line. I took pictures of it. It's on my phone. I had this very straight line, like a surgically straight line right here, red, above it. And I'm like, "Oh, that's funny." And it didn't seem to go down or anything, but a few nights later, there was another line below it. Same kind of thing, straight line below it. And then it did start to go down, and within a week or so, it was gone.
Wow.
And, I showed it to my doctor. He's like, "Oh, sometimes these things go away." Okay. You know, but that's mostly what it's been. It's been in my dreams, and healings. I have not been abducted. I have not been on any spaceships in the last few years. It seemed like
Mm.
it stopped when I told them to stop because I was pregnant with twins. I was on bed rest, and I was so agitated that I got out of line, and I walked right up to him and I said, "You gotta stop taking me. This is stressing me out. I these are my babies. We put them in there." And I'm thinking, I'm saying all these things that I don't think during the day in my normal life, but I'm saying them. And, I remembered I said them. And it's all stopped for me. Then it was my daughter when she started talking about 2, 3 years old. She started saying she was seeing funny owl in the window. There was this little man
Oh
that
boy.
came into her room, took her out through the wall, and my son would wake up screaming in his crib and pointing across the room, and things were still happening. My older son came out to go to the bathroom, and he said he saw 3 tall white beings at my bedroom door. But for me, I wasn't either remembering or wasn't being taken anymore. I don't know which. Maybe I wasn't remembering.
Yeah. Mostly everything has been in my dreams as well the last several years, although there have been some physical stuff. But right before my late wife passed, I had a few real doozies.
Yeah.
I mean, I came to, and I say came to because you go to bed
Mhm.
and then you wake up and you're disoriented, and my God, I'm standing on the corner of my street under a street light in my pajamas,
Holy
and
cow.
and then you think to yourself, somebody's going to see me or report me, or the police are going to get me, and I start looking for where my house is, and I start to go in that direction, and out of the dark comes something cloaked in a black. It's almost like the Grim Reaper's outfit. This black hooded thing, and it's
Ugh,
all flowing.
yeah.
And just as it gets to me, I see the gleaming eyes coming from underneath the hood and the bony long fingers, and it wraps itself around me, but not like angry or anything. I felt something from it that was very comforting. And
Okay.
suddenly I became free fall, and I was going straight up, and we are going into this dark object in the sky. And he took me inside. It was my birthday, which is interesting because my birthday's in a couple of days. And there were not just the beings, the grays there, but there were just these real tall, strange looking humans that I had seen many times before. Sometimes they're dressed in suits.
Mm.
And they took me into a room and they put me on a table and they put this box on my chest. And the box opened up and there was light coming from it. And they were reaching inside of it and they were doing things. I never, and they were saying, "This is for you for your birthday." And they're wishing me a happy birthday. And I remember when it was all over with, they were taking me back, and the next thing I knew, my eyes popped open. I was laying on my back in bed, and I ran out of the bedroom and went into the living room and shook. And my dog came in to comfort me, and that was a real doozy, and that was
Wow.
very physical. It wasn't dream at all, I mean, I probably, if I had looked at my socks, I would have found twigs and pieces of dirt in them. I didn't do that, but
Yeah.
um, but I haven't had anything quite like that in a while. But they're still
Wow.
definitely around, and they're still doing things. And I just wish that and I keep asking for their help to heal me, because ever since that uh, cancer surgery, I have bladder, although the
Hey,
cancer's gone, and
good.
the bladder's fine, and I keep having to go back for cystostomies, and those are horrible. But he gets to
Yeah.
look inside and be all happy with his work. Look, there's where it was, and then everything's fine. The cancer's not coming back. You're great, but I am
Yeah.
suffering from a lot of pain from that surgery
Mm.
and those procedures, and
It's very invasive.
it makes it real hard it makes it real hard sometimes for me to function. And I keep
Yeah.
working and everything, but I constantly have this. I'll go for a few days and I feel okay. I never feel 100%, but the last few days it's been really bad again. And when I talk to him about it, he's like, well, that's kind of how it is. You had bladder surgery, and bladder is a very sensitive organ. I think
Yeah.
is it classified as an organ? I guess it
Yeah.
is.
It's an organ.
Yeah.
Oh,
Have
And
no.
it's miserable. It really is miserable. So I keep hoping that maybe there's something they can do. I would really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
I would totally ask them, but
Yeah.
have you thought about getting a second opinion from another surgeon?
No, I do. I have a very close friend who's a doctor himself, and he agrees with my diagnosis of what's going on with me. That yeah, once they go in there and they do that, some people come out, they're okay. Some people, they have spasms, and that's what he's told me, that's what I'm having, are bladder spasms.
Mhm.
But no, I haven't thought of that. I mean, it is something to think about.
I'm just suggesting it. I mean, I don't know if you should or not,
Yeah,
but
no,
yeah,
I don't
something to
either.
think about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really, really bad. And so here we are, we have a flood, and I
Yeah.
went having to hike through water up to my waist, and lifting all this heavy stuff. And I mean, I really paid for it. And
Yeah, you shouldn't be lifting after abdominal surgery of any kind.
no,
You know,
no.
that was like 4 months later, 4 or 5 months later.
Yeah, that's
Was it that
It's
long?
the
It was.
yeah, the surgery was in August.
Right, but then I was supposed to go back and see him 4 months or 3.5 months after that to have another cystostomy, and I don't think we quite were there yet because I was
No,
dreading that. So it was about that much time,
but luckily it wasn't like right after or anything,
but
or we would have really been in trouble.
according
yeah,
to
right
I'm
after you could have ripped stitches and sutures
Yeah.
and stuff like that, yeah. But
yeah,
even so, that you don't realize how much, pressure you create within your abdomen when you lift something.
yeah. Well, plus
Mhm.
that I've had massive hernia surgery too, because when Jilly was passing and she was in bedridden and comatose most of the time from the cancer, I
Thank
was
you, John.
I was the one lifting her all the time. And so I ended up with 5 hernias, and I had to go into surgery for those. And
Oh my gosh. Wow, you've been through it. Yeah, I worked in
yeah,
geriatrics in my 20s, and lifting people is no joke.
Mm-mm.
It's very hard on your body, on your back, on your abdomen. It's really hard on your body.
yeah, it is. But I'm okay. I mean, I'm fully functional, and we do our yoga every morning, and it's funny.
Yeah,
The yoga really helps, and
yeah,
and we're doing this show, and this is really given Mary and I both a real sense of purpose, to be doing
yeah,
this, breaking the silence. It really is. And nothing numbs the pain like something you're deeply involved in. I'll be
yes,
editing and creating visual effects and art for this series, and I completely forget about it, and
yeah,
until
totally.
I stop.
Yeah, when I'm creating, I'm just in another realm when I'm creating.
We call it
I
the
focus.
zone.
The zone. When you're in the
Yeah.
zone, you don't
Yeah.
think about anything else, and your body doesn't even seem to exist sometimes.
So
Yeah.
uh, the material you're writing is influenced by your experiences, and that fascinates me, because I'm really curious to see what you're going to come up with, and how are
Well,
you
I've
going to
just
release it?
started.
Do you have a publisher, or
Well, I've just recently started, and I'll tell you. Okay, so, I was kind of a literary snob for a while because I went through, the college track. I went to journalism school at Syracuse University, and I went to Binghamton University for a master's in creative writing and English literature. And so I was trying to write literary fiction and memoir. My master's thesis was published. It was a memoir in poems called Rubies. It was about the women who raised me. Um, but what I'm going to do now, all this is to say that I'm embarrassed to say I'm going to write romance fiction. I have a
Oh, there's
girlfriend.
nothing embarrassing about that. That's
I'm gonna write
wonderful.
I'm gonna write genre fiction, and it's so much fun. So I have this
Yeah.
girlfriend, she's been doing it for the last 5 or 6 years, and she's written, like, 22 novels for,
Wow.
Harlequin romance. She writes, it's romance/suspense, and her husband is a retired FBI agent, so he's, like, a great source. So her protagonists are all FBI agents. And I like reading her stuff because I like learning something when I read. I don't wanna just read romance. I don't read romance, to be honest with you. But I do like, things like Patricia Cornwell. I love murder mystery, I love suspense, all that kind of stuff, spy
right?
books. I do like genre fiction. I love science fiction fantasy too. I read all kinds of things. But
Hmm.
romance is something that I've never really read because I never felt like it was enough. I wanted, history, something, to learn while I'm enjoying the story.
Yeah, I love historical romance.
Yeah, I love historical romance.
Mhm.
Yes. So I want to learn while I'm reading. So I joined Romance Writers of America at her suggestion, and I joined our local chapter just a couple months ago, and they're doing an anthology for their group, a fundraiser, and they're asking their writers to write a 7,000 word short story romance. So I've got my plotting right here.
Ah,
My plotting
Old
and
school.
writing on. Yeah, so yeah, I'm 4,000 words in, and it's so much fun. I just had to let my husband read it, and he's like, "Oh, it's really good." What does he know? But he likes it. He's my cheerleader. So I
my
just
creative mind is starting, and I'm thinking, I wonder what it'd be like to have a romance novel with one of the beings not being human. That would be really good.
that's exactly what I'm going to do. Not in
Oh,
this
good.
short story, not for the anthology piece, but that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Wonderful.
I started looking up alien romances, and they're all like science fiction settings, and all the guys look like they're like Zeus or something. But I want to go a different way. I think I want to have some beautiful Nordics who have
Ah,
romances with lovely ladies here on Earth, something like that. So I'm going to have my protagonists, my women, be experiencing these things, ghosts and the visitors. And so it's
What a
going to be
great idea.
paranormal romance. Yeah,
it's
but it's going to
cool.
have a lot of my experiences in it. Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Wonderful.
And it gets this stuff out there to people that may not otherwise be exposed to it. And I
Right.
just want to spread the word. I feel like, I feel driven to write about it. I just have to find the right way to do it that I'm
Yeah, I know
comfortable
what you
with.
mean.
Yeah, I do. I know I know you're doing your own thing, and it's
Our
great.
next film is called The
Well, I
Double
want to
Slit
read
Experiment.
one.
Well, I will let you know when it's done, because
Cool.
Okay.
her agent is hopefully going to be my agent, and yeah, I'll let you know. So what's your
Yeah.
next movie?
It's The Double Slit Experiment,
Yes.
and it's about the same character, Mark Neal from the
Yep.
series,
Yep.
and it takes place after um, Earth has been. It's finally disclosures happen, and it happened because the visitors showed up and they parked their big silver discs in the sky all over the world and just sat there without
Until we
saying
look
a
up
thing for 2 weeks and did nothing while we tried to throw
our
Rocks.
slings and
rocks at
arrows
it
at
and
them.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing happened, and it just and then they left, and there
Wow.
was no way anybody could deny it anymore. And of course, what that if that actually happened, then first thing
Yeah.
that's going to happen is the media is going to come after you and me and Whitley and everybody else and say they won't say they're sorry, but they'll say, "So you know about this? Tell us more."
Yeah.
And so
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
character wants to get away from this, and
Yeah.
so he goes to his cabin up in Ojai, in the country to get away from it all,
Mhm.
and of course
Sirens.
something he wants to be alone by the fire and read a book. It's just that simple. He just wants to read a good book, be by the
Yeah.
fire, have some peace,
Yeah.
and instead someone shows up and they have an existential conversation, and it's quite a conversation, and it's one that I similarly had, um, and it's got
But
a nice twist.
let's not give it
Yeah, I know
all
it's got a
away.
Oh
nice
yeah.
twist
Go
at
read
the
the
end,
Oh,
and
story.
so that's
this is private. This is just us,
yeah,
this group, right? So
No
it's not.
yeah,
spoilers.
Yeah.
yeah. In my experience, there has been consistently, and I really know that now that I'm older, and I look way back, and I look at where this thing all started, and it's always been a she. She's always been very tall, very feminine looking, very large headed, very big wraparound eyes, but just this look on her face of almost arrogance. And she's tall, and she's got these thin, long fingers, and she's whitish. The other ones are darker and smaller and shorter, and they're all around her, but she's this super sentient being.
Yeah.
Um,
Regal.
yeah, but she's also able to change her form,
Oh.
appear to me in different ways than she did when I was in high school. And
Wow.
I had this lover.
Wow.
And and so when you were talking about the romantic, uh
You could write romance too.
yeah, because I think that if I can get people to talk about it, I think a lot of people remembered that something like that happened. I mean, they're just into
Yeah.
puberty, and they're ripe as far as
Yeah.
harvesting's concerned and all that. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, you're having these powerful dreams about making love to uh, someone that looks odd, looks human, but just looks
Yeah.
odd. And the
Something's
setting was so
off.
weird. It was like
Yeah.
some weird white room with a tent and this soft, like almost pillows or some kind of carpet or something on the floor, and
Yeah.
you'd be lured in. And I remember it real clearly. And it's one of those things that it doesn't bother me now to talk about it, but when I was
Yeah.
in my 30s and 40s and or 40s, and I was with Yvonne and stuff, I was real uncomfortable talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like any of the sexual stuff that happened through with that experience, and there's a lot of it, so
Yeah.
for a while there, and then it stopped too.
That's crazy. I mean, I went through 5 years of infertility, secondary infertility. I had a son at 22, and then I remarried at 30, and I went through 5 years of infertility, and we ended up doing IVF to have the twins. And I wonder if during that time my eggs were being harvested. I had several
Hmm.
miscarriages during that time.
Hmm.
When I was
That's
regressed with
common.
Yeah, when I was regressed with Laurie McDonald, I went to a moment when I got out of line and went up to the tall, paper white woman with the large eyes and
Hmm.
stood in front of her, and my real memory ends just staring into her eyes, but the extended memory that I got with Lori under hypnosis was that she handed me one of those bundles that I had seen on the shelving next to the line that I was standing in, and it was a baby. And there were then the memory continues, and I turn, and there's all these tables and chairs. And this is a big white room with hardly anything in it,
Yeah.
size of a gymnasium, a huge white room.
Sterile. Yeah.
Yeah, very sterile. And I understand within the dream that I am to go sit down and hold the baby. And I just gazed at this baby, and I just was like loving on this little baby, and it was mine, you know? It sounds crazy, it sounds crazy, and, I even now, I'm like, "Can this be real? Can this be true?"
Yeah. You feel uncomfortable talking about it. It's like something almost eating at you, saying, "You're not supposed to talk about this. You shouldn't talk about this."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
could Yeah, my husband's walking around in the foyer right now taking the dog out, and I'm like, I don't even wanna talk about it with him, there,
yeah,
even though I've told him all of this stuff, but it's
Mhm.
just so uncomfortable to share this stuff, you know?
you trip a memory for me, and I haven't forgot about it, but it's another one of those really powerful dreams where I'm literally, there's like a concrete wall, and I'm touching it with my hands and feeling it and really feeling the texture of it, and going, God, I am here. It's just not a dream. I'm looking at the trees, and I look down, and there's all these other people, and we're all dressed in some sort of white outfit, and we're all holding bundles, and they were babies. And I remember that really clearly.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I woke up, and it's like, oh, a lot of times the memories are very repressed, and what happens is that it doesn't have to be alien abductions or things with aliens or beings or ETs or whatever you want to call it. It could be something that was traumatic that happened to you that you don't remember, but you'll have a dream about it because it comes out. Subconscious is
Yeah.
flushing it to the surface in your dreams. And so what you're doing is almost the same thing that's happening under hypnosis. You're recalling something that really did happen to you, and it feels real like that because it wasn't just whatever a dream is,
It wasn't made up
but
by
I
my
do remember that.
Yeah.
And I was also
Wow.
showed later on, it was one of the support group meetings at Vaughn's, and this redheaded woman walked in, and I looked at her and I went, oh my God, I know this person. And she looked at me the same way. And we got talking and we knew each other. And we knew each other because we actually remembered being in a room and being coerced to have sex. And later on, they showed me what came out of that. And I did a drawing. You probably saw it in the drawings flashing by, of this
Baby.
gray, very lovingly having its head next to this little redheaded boy with the big blue eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Oh,
I,
wow.
I was in this place that looked like a whole bunch of cubicles, and one of them walked out from one of the cubicles with this little boy in his little blue outfit and showed him to me and said, "This is yours." Yeah.
It's just stunning.
Yeah, it is. And it's, again, it sounds so crazy. And as you're saying it, you can't really be saying this. I mean, it's just
I
stuff
know.
that's just so out in left field, But
It's
then
so
you'll say it to people in the group, and they'll tell you that something almost identical
similar.
happened to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Over
And
and over and over again.
over and
Person after
over
person.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, I suffer from terrible anxiety, and I've tried to address it in so many different ways. I've been in therapy since I was 23, off and on with different, therapists, different modalities. Like I've done EMDR, I've done, cognitive behavioral therapy. I've done all kinds of different therapies trying to address this anxiety. I started doing meditation and studying Buddhism in my 20s. I do yoga daily. I
You
I
too.
actually had quite an astounding awakening experience in June of 2010, where I opened up, and this vastness opened in front of me, and this feeling of love absorbed me, and this warm wind blew through my back, out through my chest, and I saw myself like Jumanji dissolving into grains of golden sand. And then
Wow.
I was one with everything that I was looking. I was at a retreat. I was at a Buddhist meditation silent
Oh,
retreat
wow.
that week,
What
and
a
it was at
lovely
the end of the
experience.
retreat, and it was near Ithaca in upstate New York. And I'm looking at these huge windows in this beautiful round atrium room that we were in, and I'm looking across this field to the tree line, and everything is like super HD, 3D, like more super real than reality. And I was enmeshed with everything around me. It was a oneness experience.
Mhm.
And that moment opened me up and changed me. I started for about 3 months after that, I stayed in this hyper state. I don't even know what to call it or how to describe it, but I was experiencing time in distinct bubbles. It was like moments of bubbles, and they were round, and I could feel them arising and peaking and falling, and it was so amazing. I wrote like 20 pages longhand of the experience itself. I stayed in the guest room for a week just writing, because I didn't want anyone to interrupt me. I had 3 kids and a husband and 2 dogs and a cat, and I just wanted to be in my room by myself writing this down before I forgot it. Well, I haven't forgotten any of it, but
Judy,
yes, ma'am.
do you still have anxiety like that?
I do.
Have you thought about going on another retreat similar?
I've gone on many retreats. Before COVID, I would go on 1 or 2 retreats a year,
Have you done when's the last time you went on one?
before COVID.
It's time.
Yeah,
I
3,
know it
4 years
is.
ago.
I
It's
know.
time.
I have
You
not been on
need
vacation
you
by
need to
myself.
you need to connect back with yourself there.
I know that. I know that. I have that deep longing to do that.
Do it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you don't feel at all to me like you have anxiety. You seem very relaxed, very calm. You're very articulate, and you're able to express very well your experience.
Yeah, but what's going on inside is totally different.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank
Well,
you, Mary.
You're
yeah.
welcome.
Inside, there is a motor running right here that no one can see,
Mhm.
and it's constant, it's a constant vibration in my body. It's as if my body can't contain the anxiety that I feel. My dad had it, my kids have it.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just time to reconnect with yourself and have some me time.
yeah,
What the
yeah.
heck?
I know you're right. Thank you for saying it though. It
You're
helps.
welcome.
Yeah, I mean, Mary will tell you I have my own. I think we
Slot
both.
cars.
Well,
What?
yeah, well, yeah, they're
He has
great.
his ways of relaxing.
Yeah,
Yeah?
but I have always had a lot of anxiety, and I just ever since I was a little kid, and I don't know, it's just how it is, and I just work with it, you know. But
Yeah.
I long like for the quiet moments and just the sound, the idea of going to on a retreat to meditate,
Yeah.
um, you know, is something I'd love to do with Mary and you know, Mary, our friend AJ on the Y files, he should think about doing the same thing.
Yeah, he just had
Yeah.
he's having some burnout
Mm.
from doing what we're doing right now. And he
Mm.
talked about it and it was very sad.
It
Mm.
is. I mean, the Y Files is a great show, and you
I
know,
love that. I watch that.
Oh,
Yeah,
you do. Oh,
I
good, good.
do.
Because a lot of
With the
people I
little
can't get.
goldfish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
Hucklefish.
right. Aliens
I love it. He's
from New
great.
York.
He's a
Yeah,
great New York.
it's him doing the voice. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
as you know,
Yeah, I
New
know.
Jersey accent.
I got that.
But AJ is.
He's
We
great.
knew something was up, and
Mm.
he's been a big mentor, really,
Mhm.
to both of us. And
Oh, that's
you
great.
know, he really got me through some hard times. You know, with those surgeries, I'd be sitting there on the couch and just miserable with one of those bags, the
Yep.
catheter, and
Oh,
just it was horrible. If I had to deal with that thing in me for a week. But we
oh,
put the Y files on. Mary'd say, like, "Oh, the new Y files is on." We watch it, and I'd forget all about it. And for
yeah,
that time, he would make me laugh, and he would interest me, and
yeah,
he would tell me things I knew, but he did it in such a wonderful way. He has
yeah,
about himself. But
Mhm.
then we find out he's very open and very honest with about his depressions and the problems he has.
yeah.
And last night we're patrons. He's one of the few people that I support, and he's got millions of supporters. He's doing very, very well. But
Good.
I appreciate so much what he does that, you know, just I send him $7 a month, you know, and
Yeah,
just to pay back
yeah,
all I can. And
yeah.
so we get sent uh, unlisted links of things he puts up for his Patreon members. And last night, um, he talked about why he missed one of his premieres, and we knew something was up. And it was just amazing because he just spilled his guts about every problem he's having. But he closed it, and he really started to lose it towards the end because one of the viewers wrote to him and was with his dying mother in bed and holding her hand. The one thing that kept her laughing and smiling all the way through was watching him, and her last moment was watching him on the Y files.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, it just chokes me up.
Wow, that's powerful.
It
Healing that you guys are giving people.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, it floored him, and he just said, "I have to go," because just he realized that what he was doing, he was working himself so hard and drinking and going 3 days without sleep and everything else. He realized that if he kills himself, what he would do, you know,
My God.
what effect that would have on his wife and other people. And
Yeah,
it was just, it was life changing watching that last night, wasn't it, Mary?
that's heavy.
Yeah, it's everything you don't want to do. Burnout is not a
Yeah,
good
well,
thing.
yeah, and I'm really once again, I'm very grateful to him because, you know, we get up at 5 and we work up to yoga time, and then we have breakfast, and then we go back to work and work to 6. And since the flood, we've been here 7 days a week, so I've been working 7 days a week. We are getting a good 8 hours of sleep every night,
I
but
hope so. Yeah, you need
but
it.
you know, at age 72, and he's complaining about being age 51. You know, I think you should try this 20 years from now. Um,
I just turned 60 last September.
you did? Oh my
Yeah,
God. You certainly
yeah.
don't look. Um,
Smoke and
So
mirrors.
yeah. So, it's we have to be careful, and I don't want to get into that. I get so
Yeah.
obsessed when I'm over there back behind me where the editing bay is. I got all the screens and all those computers, and I'm sitting there editing and creating effects and working and worried about getting it done in time for premiere and all that. And if you go too far with that, you can end up killing yourself. And I know that well
Yeah.
from working in Hollywood for over 50 years.
Yeah.
So,
So we
Yeah.
do what we can, but we're
yeah.
not going to do more than we can.
But
Yeah. Please
it's not
don't.
like
Yeah.
I don't enjoy the work. I really enjoy the work. I wouldn't be doing it, And,
Yeah.
It's just not enough hours in the day. That's all.
what I
Yeah.
enjoy most
It's consuming.
are you and the people who have shown us their support, that shared their stories, that appreciate so much what we're doing. I mean, that's really
Yeah.
what keeps me and Mary going.
Yeah.
Just
Well, so appreciated what you're doing.
because it helps people.
And it does. And if you need to take a break, take a break.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna think badly, if you
Just
need.
YouTube, they're horrible with the algorithms and stuff, and we're
Yeah.
learning about that too. And it's
Yeah.
like,
So we don't want to set ourselves up for, expectations. We're just going to do what we can do, and that's all we
Yeah.
can do.
that's
Yeah.
very
We're
Buddhist of
not going
me.
to be spending nights awake making a
No,
show like
Yeah.
he did.
no,
It's just not a good thing. We're going to just do what we can do, and that's all we can do.
Pace yourselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yeah. I did that for years in Hollywood, where we went without sleep for days and had to be
Well,
back
You're
on
we're
set.
too
young.
dang old for that.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you're young, you can do that. Like, my husband right now, he's 64 and he's working harder than he was at 36. And I'm
Mhm.
like, dear, you need to stop now. This is getting crazy, so
Agree.
yeah.
And
Oh, I
the more
saw.
you love your work,
Hey, I saw John say something about retirement. What's
Yeah.
retirement? Yeah,
we're supposed to be
Retirement.
I'm never
retired.
going to retire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're I mean, you love your work, you're passionate about it. I love art, I love filmmaking, and being able to take this lifelong experience I have and combine it with filmmaking and art is it's just a wonderful thing to be able to do. And then other people see it and they relate to it and they enjoy it and it makes them feel better. It's just a great thing.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
can't.
think that's the blessing of a creative life, is that you
Yeah.
always wanna create. My husband's work is not a creative endeavor, and, so it's draining. It's draining on him. It's a very difficult job mentally
Does
and
he have a
physically
time
because it's
for
long
do?
hours.
Does he have time to do something else?
Well, well, because he's been with this group for many years, he has many weeks of vacation a year, and he tries to
I mean,
spread them out.
Does he have another interest other than his work?
He plays piano, he likes to read, and he runs.
Wow.
But really what we wanna do is travel, see the kids,
Oh, okay.
get a smaller house. We're ready
Oh
to
yeah, we did that.
we're at that
Love
point where we're gonna downsize. We're gonna move into
Mhm.
Pennsylvania because the taxes are less.
Yeah.
And we're on the border here of
Mhm.
Pennsylvania and New York, and we're just gonna hop over the border and get a smaller place and have less to take care of and get more mobile, forego animals for maybe 10 years while we travel, and then we'll get dogs again. So, we kind of have a plan. We have a plan, but, he's very tired of working as hard as he has, doing what he does, and it's exhausting for him, and I've watched him, when he works long stretches, like he's been on a 5-week stretch right now. He's got 2 weekends in a row that he's working 8 to 8.
Oh
Um,
dear.
yeah, he's getting too old to do that, and he looks ashen to me. Well, I said that
Oh.
to him a couple years ago, and he's a runner, and he said, "Well, I can't really run up the hill anymore, I can't push that last quarter mile up the hill," and well, we found out he had AFib, and then we took him down to New
Oh
York and got
dear.
an ablation done. Yeah, and then he perked up and he pinked up again, he's not ashen. But, you find these things out and, you
Mm.
start to reassess what are your priorities,
Exactly. That's
and
exactly.
his priority is not working like a dog anymore, so
Mhm.
he's worked hard. We've
Yeah,
had
and your
children.
kids are grown.
They're grown. They're
Yeah.
they're, They're
It's
on their own and they're working.
it's time to do something else.
It's
Yeah.
time for a change.
And
That's
they'll
what
start worrying about you too.
they already do.
You know,
My oldest especially. He's
don't
like,
get
"Mom."
a 2-story house. We don't want you going up and down those stairs.
Oh no, I've heard that one already. I've heard that
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
already. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Do you have
Wow.
children? Do you guys have children?
I have 2 daughters and 2 granddaughters.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
They inherited me, but I don't have any
Yeah.
children, so I
Okay.
never did have any. And I'm an only child too, on top of that. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was an
when
only
we
child for 10 years. My half brother is not in the picture anymore.
oh,
oh,
Yeah,
I
unfortunately.
wonder how many people that have had these experiences are only child. If there's any
I wonder.
thing to that, because well, they kind of have you all to themselves, you know, and they don't have
Yeah,
to deal with anything else. But
yeah,
God, I just remember growing up in San Francisco and spending a lot of time in Marin County with my grandmother and stuff, that when I look back on it, they were just around all the time. They really were. I thought they were fairies when I was little, and they were living in the
yeah.
wall, and they
See?
were in the closet, and but
Yeah.
I just, when I think back about how I felt back then, I knew there was this comforting presence that
Yes.
something was watching over me.
I used to
And
play in the woods. I would run out of
yes.
the house. My stepmother she was hot and cold. I mean, she was kind of crazy. And she would hit me and
sorry.
yell at me and, hot and cold. And so I would go outside at 6 years old. I'm running out the back door
Oh,
and
dear.
disappearing into the woods behind our house, with farms on either side. I lived in a very rural area in upstate New York.
Mhm.
Well,
And
you were lucky
I
to
was
live
lucky to
like
be where
that.
I was because I was alone all day long and
Mhm.
I wouldn't come home until the sun was going down. And but I wasn't alone. I was in the woods. I found a chimney was standing where a house had been. It was very old and the house was mostly gone. And I would find like forks and spoons and things in the dirt. And so I excavated like these little rooms and I was making like a little house for myself. But
Aw.
I wasn't alone. There was something there with me and the golden
Yeah.
light was there a lot. And I felt love. I felt love around me. And I knew that I wasn't supposed to look at whatever was there directly, so I didn't. I kind of, like, just looked at my hands as I did things, and I just kinda kept my gaze, down, but there was something there, and at night, definitely was not alone, but I was
Yeah.
an only child.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My grandfather, my dad's mom, she lived in Marin County, and at the time where she lived, it was there were very few houses and just lots of nature and hills I'd hike in all the time, and
yeah,
all by myself.
yeah.
Nobody. Okay, I'm going to go out and go hiking. Okay, well, we'll see you later on. Be back
See you
before it's
later.
dark. Nobody worried about you, and
No.
I found Indian trails and Indian burial
Yeah.
grounds up in the hill and all these things, and I was constantly doing that all by myself.
Yeah, me too. I was excavating, blue bottles in the yard, way back behind the pastures, and I was just always alone. I love being alone, even until now. I love being alone. I'm kind of an extrovert. I seem like I'm an extrovert, but I'm actually an introvert because I charge my batteries when I'm alone, and I need a
Hmm.
lot of alone time.
Hmm.
Geez, Steve, do you know anybody else like that?
No,
No.
That's how I am.
Is
yeah,
it?
and I
Yeah.
used to be that way, and I don't know. Lately, if Mary leaves and I'm here in this fairly large studio by myself, um, I feel uncomfortable. I don't know why. That's
Mm.
different for me because
Yeah,
I used to spend time alone all the time, even when I was married. I mean, I was just always into my work and by my back room, and I loved being by myself. And so I know what you mean. So
well,
I've seen.
I can stand people, a, a large group or people around to a certain extent,
Yeah.
and then I need my me time
Yeah.
because it's draining to be with
Yeah.
too many people for too
Exactly.
long.
Me too. Me too. I just, yeah. I'm like a raw nerve after a while. I just need to get away. Yeah. But I enjoy people too. I enjoy
I love
being with
people, but I love
Yeah.
being
Oh yeah.
alone too.
I'm
Yeah.
exactly the same way. Yeah. So Mary, are
Yeah.
you an experiencer as well?
I'm a timid experiencer.
Okay. Okay.
So the things that happen, I share once in a while, but I'm like other people that aren't. Yeah, it happened, but I don't like to think about it a lot.
My daughter's like that. She's like that. She doesn't like to think about it.
You know,
Mm.
I've got memories I don't want to bring up,
Yeah.
but there's still things happening, and I just deal with them.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I don't
To our
know.
phone?
The phones.
No.
We should have had them on airplane. We didn't. So Mary's seen a great deal being around me, and the great thing about Mary is when we first met, you know, I knew
What do
at
you
some
call
point
it
in time.
when you just like put things out of your mind? What do you call that? When things
Repress?
yeah,
Yeah.
Repress.
I'm a repressed
Yeah.
experiencer,
It's not
and
full on denial. It's just repressed. It's just kind of
yeah,
at the
well, if it's not
periphery of your awareness.
if what happened isn't serving my reality, present
Yeah.
reality that I want to have, not
Yeah.
the real reality,
Yeah.
then I'll say, "Okay, that just happened. What's next? Let's go on and maybe we should go in the kitchen."
Yeah. Move on.
Yeah,
No, I get that.
it's, you know, and when I hear people say that it makes them feel crazy or whatever, I totally understand that. I know you're not crazy because then we're all crazy
Yeah, right?
because
We
we're all
all are.
experiencing these things.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll talk about it, and sometimes I rather talk about my art or, you know, taking the Fiat out for a run.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I have a little car I love to take out too.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
we have
fun.
a 124 Spider, Fiat Spider from the 1960s. It's a 77, but they never changed the body style, and it's
Yep.
good old Italian
Yeah.
2-seat roadster, and I
I
just
love it.
yeah, I love
I
cars.
love cars. I used to race. I have
Oh,
a Mercedes SLK 2006.
Whoa,
wow,
nice.
6 cylinders, all for me. Yes.
wow.
Yes,
I
it's a
I, I love racing as well,
it's a
and
hardtop convertible. Yeah, I
mhm,
race it. I race it just, on tracks, like at the
right,
airport with pylons and
sure.
stuff. Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun, and I grew up in a racing environment because my dad was a driver, and so
Oh, cool.
and we always had slot cars. I still have a slot car set that you probably saw in one of
Yeah.
those videos. It's sitting
Yeah.
out back right now, and um, man, I've always had a sports car. No
Yeah.
matter what other kind of car I had, I always had a sports car because it's just something that comforts me and that I kind of
Me
grew up
too.
in.
Me
Yeah,
too.
there's something about it. I don't know what it is. Maybe we once had a spaceship and it was our very own, and it gave us independence, and we look at that
Yeah.
car as being the same kind of thing.
And my favorite style of car is kind of bubble shaped, with a long nose.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting.
yeah.
Well, my
I
favorite
love
car
scooting
right now
around.
is the one I just got. We just got an electric e-Golf
Okay.
2016,
Yeah.
Yes.
and I
Do you
had
like
never
it?
had an electric car before,
I haven't yet
and
either.
this thing is amazing. I
It
Oh,
mean,
talks.
wow.
it
We
it's so fast.
we finally
Really?
got insurance money
Yeah.
from our Subaru, which was about 5 feet
Totaled.
underwater in total. So,
Oh,
and when we got the
wow.
money, I said to Mary, I said, let's replace it with an electric.
Yeah.
And she goes and picks out a Golf. And a Golf is really a sports sedan. It's really a sports car. It's a
Well, he was
graphics
trying to get me to
exterior.
get a Leaf, and I just didn't like
Yeah.
the looks of it. I
This was
wanted
so
Yeah.
much
something
bigger.
sportier.
Sportier. Yeah.
It hauls butt. I mean, you floor it, and you're the first person off the line right now with that thing, and it corners like better than the Fiat. It's amazing.
Mhm.
So
My
we're really
first car was a Volkswagen GTI Rabbit.
oh,
Ah,
that's a great car.
those are
It was a
great.
rally car. I did rallies
Yeah.
with it. It was
Wow.
fun. I got it over
Wow.
100,000 miles. Yeah, I still got $500 for it.
Thank you, Dane.
I've had Lotuses and
Oh,
Alfa
cool.
Romeos, and
Oh,
MGs,
wow.
and everything else. It's
It's fun.
it's just in my blood, So
Yep.
that's why I'm still in the slot cars, because slot cars today look like real cars. They're just, you hold it in your hand, and it's, my God, they shrunk it down. Honey, I shrunk the sports car. I mean, it's every single detail's there, and they're very realistic, and they're really fun to drive. So,
Yeah, my younger son collects those too. He loves them.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
So we went out and bought Steve a birthday gift,
Mhm.
and
Mm.
he thought every year I buy him a slot car, but
Mhm.
this year we had Carrie. Let me see,
yeah,
Casey Claire. We're shooting her today,
there it is.
and
Yep.
I said, "Oh, you're getting a crystal, not a slot car," and that's it.
Wow, look at the intrusions in that. You
Yeah,
know you know, sometimes I gaze into crystals like that, and I swear okay, now you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I swear I look in them and I see, like, these little scenes of, like, spaceships.
That's because they're really there.
that's what
See,
who we put on camera
That's
today. That's what
that's what
she
it's
does.
about.
She
really?
has
'Cause that's
she
what I
takes
Yes.
see when I
photographs.
when I look into
Yes.
them.
She
Really?
takes
Yes.
pictures
Mhm.
through the crystal. They're
That's what I
quite
wanna see.
large,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and 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 you can see their eyes and everything.
Oh, boy,
So
I didn't know that was
it's
a thing.
gonna be great. Wait till
I
you
Yeah.
see
wanna
it.
see that, I'm so
Yeah.
excited.
Well, yeah, I'll be editing
I
it
thought I
next
was making
week.
it up.
No,
No,
she's been
no.
doing this for years,
Well,
and
I'll
she's
even
tried to film them,
I
but
always
Yeah,
think
just
I'm making all of this up, but it's real.
it's real.
yeah.
I
So
know.
here
It's
you are
real.
bringing up something that you think is unique to you. One more
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and Mary and I are looking at each other. Like that just happened to us today.
I'm
This
sorry, I
woman
have to
came, and
giggle.
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it's fine.
yeah.
Great, I love it.
And her crystal,
Yeah.
her crystal was about that big, and she's got several of them, but she actually
Uh-huh.
puts a camera up to them, and
Yep.
she can take stills, but video doesn't work for some reason. And she explains it on her website. But the pictures, some of them you look at and you say, well, that could just be diffraction going on within
Right.
but most of them you can clearly see eyes with irises and pupils, and they're looking right at you, and it's really something.
I'm gonna go grab all my crystals and look at them again. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I was crazy. I thought, "Oh, I'm just making that up." It's like, looking at an ink blot, "What do you see in this?"
yeah, or the
Yeah.
face on Mars. It's just a trick of light and shadow, but then it turns out it
Yeah,
wasn't. So
that's
yeah,
crazy. I'm so cool. That's so cool. I can't wait to see that.
well,
Oh,
that's a
I
good
can't
place to
either.
wrap
It's
it
gonna
up.
be great.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I
really
got to
appreciate.
hear it, but when Steve's done with it, it's gonna be phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm hoping so.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
pressure.
yeah, it is, and I really have to sometimes with these shows. Um, I have to apply all the things I've learned from being in an entertainment business to it to make it exciting for people. Because if it's just straight talking heads, you're not going to reach the people you want to reach. And
Yeah.
these are the people that want to be entertained. But at the
Yeah.
same time they're being entertained, they walk away and say, that was really amazing. That was really something. I always thought that stuff was kind of nonsense, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I have to rethink this. But if it
Yeah.
had just been someone on camera just talking without any kind of support or camera angles or visualizations of what they experienced and some entertainment value to you, they'll walk away from it. They won't watch more than a
That's
few
so
minutes of it
true.
and they're gone.
That's so true, especially today where, you got sound bites getting shorter and shorter, and
Yes,
visuals are
See?
so important to keep someone's attention, and,
it is.
there's so many things to distract us. We have to,
Mhm.
be entertained to stay for a minute on any one thing.
Yeah, some of our viewers, very few of them, have objected to doing that at all. They want us to just put the person on, let them tell a story. Don't put music behind them. Don't show visuals. If you reenact something, you're taking away from your credibility, and they're really angry about it.
I
And
know,
but
I don't understand that.
they're less than 2%. So
Yeah, I
and
mean,
we try
the
and we're
number
kind to
the
them
number of
because
people that we get, because I read all the comments,
Mhm.
and the people that say, "Oh, I don't like your background music. Oh, this that was too much dramatization," or "We want just a straight person talking. We don't need all of your extras." Those there may be 2 out of 100 comments like that. So
Well,
you
I'm
have
glad
to
there's nothing.
realize
Yeah.
those might be very unhappy people.
Right. Right. You have to consider the source.
Yeah, and if any of you watched Spielberg's Encounters, there
Oh,
was
I
a four
did.
part, yeah, the 4-parter.
That was
I
good.
mean, again, he's very passionate about the subject with good reason, and one day we'll hopefully be allowed to talk about that. But he takes all his entertainment experience and being a filmmaker and a great artist, and he put it into that show, and it really worked. A
Yeah.
lot of people saw that and really thought twice.
Yeah.
With,
Oh, good.
and presenting evidence too was really good too, with the FAA records, showing that triangle
Yeah.
was actually there and it didn't have a transponder, and that the F-16s that the Air Force denied showed up exactly when they said they did. And
Yeah.
again, it was done very dramatically and very cinematically, and it drove the point home.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Right
was
down,
very
few people would have watched it if it had been done another way. So, except
I'm sure
us,
my
we
husband
would
was.
watch.
Yeah, I mean, I think, my husband, he's like, "If there's something you want me to read or watch, I'll do it." And I just kinda like, "Well, you're not really gonna get it because you haven't experienced it. But maybe I should let him watch your
I think you
stuff
I
or."
think I think it'd be okay because if you don't, as Jimmy Church said,
I like Jimmy
you
Church.
don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
Has
wise
Jimmy
words.
has Jimmy talked to you?
No, I have not talked with
With you
him.
about, yeah,
I
I've been
watch
on his
I watch
show
his
and I
show.
know him. He's been here and he's a real character. And
He is a character. That's a good word
Mhm.
for Jimmy. Yeah, I'd love to meet him in person. I think
yeah,
he'd be fun to have a beer with and sit on the beach and talk.
Well,
yeah. Well,
he's also high energy.
yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
I mean, he's
like ADHD.
super, super high energy. So
Yeah,
I don't know. He doesn't seem like a person that relaxes very often.
probably not.
No.
Probably not.
Yeah, Pancho, you're right. And I have been
Jimmy was cool.
on the inner sanctum or inside of what's going on there, but I'm not. I'm not. I don't think I'm really allowed to talk about it. So because no one else that knows what we know has. So it's really Stephen's. It's his business if he
As
wants to
long as he
complain
keeps
about it
giving
or
us what
not.
he
So,
gives us.
yeah, and I'm grateful for
Yeah.
that because Close
Yeah.
Encounters was a great film,
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
uh,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful to Chris
And
Carter
the
too.
and Encounters
Mm.
and Resident Alien and all the other things that he's
Yeah,
been involved in is
Let's not
yeah,
forget
great.
Chris Carter, who gave us the X-Files, and he's someone else I know and have worked for and have been spent
amazing.
personal time with. And he is also on the inside of this, and he knows full well that there's real substance to it. And the
Yeah.
X-Files is full of
Yeah,
truth.
X-Files.
It's
Big
full of
fan.
it, just
Yeah,
like Close Encounters was. So, I'm very grateful to these great filmmakers and for
yeah.
producing these films, because I think they've done a lot more good than they ever could have done harm. So,
If
you
they'd
know,
come
like
out
Fire in the Sky, that did harm.
Fire in the Sky.
Yeah, it's an awful movie. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
But
Rick,
evidently Travis is getting a second go at it, and this time they're going to do it right. I hope they are.
Well, good luck.
yeah.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
good luck. It's
Yeah,
Hollywood again, so I don't know if you can
I
trust them or
know,
not.
it's
So.
disappointing many times.
Oh, what time is it? I think it's about time to
10:30.
wind this up.
Yeah, it's
My
time for us to put
goodness,
our
this
feet
has
up.
been
We got to get up at
great.
5
It's been
tomorrow.
fun, and we'll
This
be
is
doing
fun.
this every
It was
every
terrific
couple
having you on, Judy.
weeks.
What a lovely
Thank
surprise,
you. Thank you.
And
This was so much fun. I didn't
yeah,
know
well,
that I'd get to talk like this with you. I feel like
It's
I'm
yeah,
sitting
great.
in the living room with you.
yeah,
That's great.
absolutely. So I
Thank
wish
you
we could
so much.
get you out here in front of the camera.
I will fly out there to see you guys someday. I would
That
love
would
to.
be
Terrific.
great. That would
I
be
would love
great.
that.
Terrific.
And you can tell your whole story to our camera, and
I will.
it'll
I will.
be
That'd be
preserved for
great.
all
That'd be
time in the
super good.
archives.
Okay.
I also want to thank you again, John Condor, and I want to thank every one of you for being here tonight. And as you have been consistently showing up and showing your support, your love, and you're what this show is all about. Thank you so much
We
from both of
appreciate
us.
you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. And we'll see you next time real soon as we're back often.
Okay.
So
Namaste.
stay in touch, Judy.
Namaste. Take care. Be well.
You
Namaste.
Thank
too.
you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.